Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the show. I am JJW, and this is rumble.com/JJW, where we talk about news and politics and culture and pop culture and just whatever is interesting and whatever is fun and whatever is maddening and just whatever's going on in the news. I get to read the news. You get to hear about the news. Maybe you send in some news stories and tell me about things that are interesting to you. But it's now the day before Christmas. It's now Christmas Eve. So everybody's at home, nobody's working, and we still get a little trickle of news in from Washington D.C. Luckily, before our legislators went home for the weekend, went home for Christmas break, they passed a huge $1.7 trillion piece of crap funding bill. So maybe we'll get into that. I don't know, but here in the JJW homestead, it's gotten colder than it's gotten in quite a while, and I imagine wherever you're at, it's quite chilly this morning as well. I heard from Deacon this morning, and I don't know if he's going to be on the show or not, but apparently it is -5 degrees at his house. So that's very, very cold. So we're all waking up to a chilly morning, and we'll see if it snows. I don't know. I haven't seen a white Christmas since I was a little child. Usually it's pretty pretty green around Christmas time, but maybe this year it'll get chilly. I don't know. I don't think the precipitation is expected, so we'll see. But it looks like it's -5 degrees wherever Deacon is at, so we'll see if he joins. I don't know if he'll show up or not. I do have. Let's see if I can do this with no help. Let's see what we have here. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're all warm and toasty in bed. I don't even know why you're up. Well, you shouldn't be up watching this, but play with your kids. This morning I'm going to take my kids to go do something fun. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Winter Storm Elliott. Nearly 2,000 flights canceled as megastorm disrupts holiday travel. I cannot imagine why you would have planned on being on an airplane, knowing for like 10 days that there was going to be an Arctic blast come through and like the weather was just going to like go upside down. And if you were aware of that and you still were like, it's my plan A to be on an airplane, you're an idiot. It's so dumb. Okay. As of 2 p.m. Thursday morning, yesterday, 5,072 flights into or out of or within the U.S. had been delayed, according to the flight tracking website FlightAware, and nearly 1,800 had been canceled, more than double the flights that were canceled on Wednesday. It comes as Winter Storm Elliott ravages the Great Plains with heavy snowfall and winds causing the National Weather Service to issue a hazardous travel warning and prompting airlines to start offering travel waivers for affected passengers and allowing people to change their flights for free. So far, the hardest hit airport has been Chicago O'Hare International, which reported 250 canceled, 167 delayed and departing flights, which is 40% of the overall flights, and 282 canceled and 189 delayed flights. So about 40% were canceled, 45% were delayed. The second worst is Denver International Airport that had 46% cancel and 47% delayed flights. I just can't believe that. Like what in your right mind would make you think like this is the time of year? This is absolutely the right time for me to have my plan A for travel will be get on an airplane in the middle of Winter Storm Elliott. People will do anything. Oh, looky here. What do we have here? Let me peek in the closet over here and see what's going on. Hello there, Deacon. What if I do this? Oh my goodness! Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
What about now?
It's fun. Ah, yeah. Good morning, Deacon.
Hey, man. I won't be on here long, but
Okay.
yeah, it's pretty.
-5.
Do what?
-5.
Yeah, -5. It won't get below. It won't get above like negative or like 5 degrees today, is what they said. I'm trying to figure out how to switch the camera. Let me just see.
You have to go to setting. Oh.
Can you see anything?
It's showing like your screen actually. You have to you go to the settings thing and you have to switch cameras.
I'm not going to.
Oh, okay.
It's just there's probably about 5 inches of snow.
Chilly.
Yeah.
Are the kids excited? Any of the kids? Well, they're asleep. They don't know yet.
They're all asleep. Yeah.
Wow.
But I've only heard a couple of. Sorry. I know. Here, you can turn off my camera.
No, you're good.
But I've heard a couple of cars go down the road this morning so far.
No, really?
Yeah, but my dad has to be out in this mess, and I asked him, and of course he's a daredevil. He's an old school, So he's like, "Oh yeah, I can drive in it."
And then in about 2 hours, you get a phone call. I need help getting out of the snow.
Oh no, not him. He's one of those old stubborn sons of bitches.
Okay. Well,
but there you go. I'm working from home today. I'm having to be quiet.
I checked and we didn't get any snow, but it is 15 degrees. So I guess it's not cold enough here. So we're only at 15 degrees, but I saw you post that picture that it's -5 and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So a bunch of people are trying to travel. Bunch of people, I was just talking about this story. A bunch of people were like trying to get on airplanes. So,
yeah.
All right. Well,
so I've already been messaged this morning by some listeners and stuff. And one was saying how they've got to get out and go to dialysis today.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that's fun.
Wow.
Like, geez. So I feel sorry for the people that actually have medical stuff to do like that.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a very short inconvenience, that this whole weather thing. Hopefully it'll blow over real quick. Do you guys even have I'm sure you do, because if it gets down to where it snows like this, do you guys have like plow trucks or salt or something like that they're going to run out?
Yeah. They've already been out earlier this week, salting and brining the secondary and the A or the B and C routes, and then they waited until the last minute to do the priority routes and stuff. But yeah, we have salt trucks and brine trucks, and we don't have the stuff like they have way up north, but we have stuff to combat this stuff. I heard a snowplow going through last night as we were sitting there at the kitchen table, me and Ashley, and I was like, "Oh, that was a salt truck that just went by. You could hear it."
Was it snowing last night before you went to sleep?
Oh yeah, it started at like 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and it started coming back. And the temperature went from like 45 degrees yesterday down to like 5 degrees last night. And you saw it's -5 degrees, and that's the air temperature. The wind chill is -29, and the winds are blowing at like 30 miles an hour.
So if you step outside, it feels like it cuts right through your clothes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yesterday before it was, we've got a couple of cats that stay outside. They were boy inside cats for like a year, and then we put them outside, and that was like 5 years ago. So they lived outside for like 5 years. and they come from the move with this when we moved from the one house to the other to our house now. Uh, and yesterday, Ashley and I've been worried about it for a couple of days, worried about the outside cats, and I've been trying to convince myself, they're cats, they're adaptive, they're outside, they know all these places to hide that I don't even know about. Well, so we went to the co-op and we were going to get some straw and they didn't have straw, but they had like pine shavings. So we got some pine shavings and we set up some lean-tos beside the house and put some pine shavings in there just to give them something because it made me feel better, about the cats.
Yeah.
Last night, the wind is blowing. It's bitterly chill. It's been snowing. There's probably a couple of inches on the ground already. And I look out and I don't see the cats anywhere. And so Ashley's like, "You see the cats?" And I'm like, "No." I said, "And that's a good thing." I was like, "It's a good thing that we don't see them, that they're not right here by the door." And so a little bit later, I stuck my head back out and I see, like, right behind one of the lean-tos, there's one of the cats. And I can see he's just kind of huddled up and he's cold. I'm like, damn it. So I stand there by the door for about 10 minutes. Now, it probably wasn't even 10 minutes. It felt like 10 minutes. It's probably like 2 minutes. And I was just, I, I had this overwhelming feeling that just come over me. It was just, and so we opened the door and let the cats in. And they were covered in snow, but they both ran in,
You're right.
I mean, they didn't
That's
run in, but they come
yeah,
in,
but they were
it
like,
did take a lot of coaxing.
we normally like to be out here with the rats and the birds and the mice to hunt and kill, but like, it's very
Yeah.
cold.
And that's what me and Ashley were talking about. I was like, you know what? When it warms up a little bit and this bitterly, because it's supposed to be like 50 degrees on Tuesday, so when it warms back up, all I have to do is open the door and they will probably run back outside.
Right.
They don't
Yeah.
want to be inside anymore.
My I'm not really a cat person, but we have some cats at our office building. And when I say we have some cats, I mean my boss and his wife, mostly his wife, became a pet person like 3 or 4 years ago. And like she just got a dog for the first time 3 or 4 years ago. And
Mhm.
after that, she just started like feeding all the cats in the neighborhood around the building. And it's the funniest thing because I've never seen anybody do this where, like, at our office building, they go out every morning and she puts out cat food, like dry cat food. She puts out wet cat food and sometimes chicken soup and stuff. And so we went from having like one or two strays, and this one
Like
had like kind
50.
of a yeah, no, there's like an entire like town of cats that
Yeah.
circle around the property.
You know why?
And
Because they talk to
there's
each
food.
other. I'm
Yeah.
convinced they talk to each other and they're like, "Yo, this crazy chick feeds me 3 times a day. I'm serious. Come.
Yeah.
All you got to do is just blink 3 times at her and she'll give you some
Yeah.
food."
You'll see them sitting at the back door sometimes, just sitting out, just staring out the window, like, is this door going to open and
Hmm.
food going to come out?
Yeah.
And
And
and sometimes like there's been so many, and they hang out so frequently that during kind of the fall, I have seen cats like outside my window. I look left out my window, like 5 feet out my window, and I saw a cat attack and kill a squirrel. I saw a cat attack and kill a bird, and I'm like, oh my god, these things are cruel. And it just
and they
kind of
don't
like,
they're not doing that because they're hungry,
no,
so to
they like to
speak.
kill things. Yeah.
Yeah. They're hunters.
And there's a cat, like they had kids, so like there's a bunch of kitten cats, young ones now. And we have a wooden ramp out of the front door of the building. And in rather than have stairs or something like that, sometime long time ago they've made a long ramp, and it's probably 20 feet long, but it's made of like, 2x6s or something like that, but it's a nice ramp. Well, one of the cats figured out, the small cats, the kittens, figured out that she could get underneath it. And so she hangs out in there all day long, and then comes out because my boss's wife feeds them and then goes back in there. Well, it turns out that not only does she live in there, there is a baby possum that lives in there too. So there is a cat and a baby possum that live like siblings underneath this ramp. They know about each other. They're both there at the same time. And
It's like
at
a
night,
Disney movie
the
right there.
yeah, I guess they started doing it when they were both so young that they think that they're each other's like siblings or whatever. But at
That's
night, the
the
possum comes out.
that's the woke version of the fox and the hound, the cat and the
Yeah,
possum.
yeah. At night the possum comes out, and then during the day the cat will sneak out and go back in, and they'll both like eat food. And we happen to
Uh,
have like a Ring security camera aimed right at the ramp in case somebody comes to the door. So at night my boss's wife, she's getting videos of like possum coming out and then the cat coming out, and they're just hanging out with each other. It's kind
if
of
she
strange.
leaves if she leaves dry cat food out all the time, all she's doing at night is inviting raccoons and skunks and possums and stuff like that to come up, because the cats won't eat the food at night. They will the other animals will come up and eat the food at night, because that's what happens. I mean, you can Google that shit. That'll be like they feed outside cats in the morning and in the evening. Don't leave any
Oh,
food
really?
overnight for them. Yeah, you're just inviting. We had a skunk that was coming up, and I was like, it was because they were going out. Ashley or Kendra or one of them were going out and feeding the cats. At like 8 o'clock at night and whatnot. And the cats are not
Right.
going to eat all that food. It stays out there all night. Yeah, I think the
Well,
cats the cats know. They talk to each other. They know. They know. I used to joke to Ashley that uh you know the old Bugs Bunny cartoons where like Elmer Fudd would turn into a sucker and then turn into back to Elmer Fudd, kind of to illustrate that he was a sucker. I was like, that's me all the time. The cats look at me and they're like, that guy is a sucker. All I've got to do is purr up against his legs and he'll
yeah.
give me anything he wants, anything I want.
Hey, where's my food at? I don't feel like hunting right now. Feed me. Let me in your warm house.
Yeah, so
So, you're taking
put
care
in
of your
here.
outdoor cats? Yeah.
Yeah,
Are they in there right now? They're in there right now. So, in a
yeah,
couple of days, you'll let them out.
they're in the kitchen. Yeah, yeah, they'll go outside in a couple of days. I just didn't want them to. They would have had a pretty rough couple of days
Yeah.
out here,
Yeah.
and
Well, I'm
my conscience can't allow that. Some people don't have that. I do. My conscience would have bothered me for the rest of my life.
the straw thing might work. She boss has set up these cat boxes, like an entire little house. And there's like four of them. So I hope they're all right. And yours is going to be okay, but yeah, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
only 15.
yours.
They'll probably
No,
be all right.
15. Yeah, that's fine. They'll get
Yeah.
through that. The
All right.
-5 and -29 wind
So
chill. That's a little rough.
Brian over on Rumble was saying, "Hey, let's get the house tour." Yeah. No, that's too cold.
The
It's
what? The
too
house
early.
tour?
Yeah, they went the house tour. I guess for
Oh, you're
you
gonna get
because you
the
got your phone.
are you gonna get the living room and the kitchen because everything else is closed and everybody's asleep?
Yeah,
I ain't
right. It's
walking
too
down the
early.
damn steep ass stairs to the downstairs where there's the kids'
Hey,
game room and Kendra's room.
so
Like going
are
to all
you
that
all
shit.
set up so that you can run the radio remotely, or is it all programmed for the day where you don't have to go in or anything?
I didn't want to. This computer does not have the program set up to edit my uh, with the microphone that little USB microphone that I have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I didn't set that up yesterday, but I have all the stuff to remotely work here other than that microphone setup. So what I've been doing is just record. I've tested yesterday at work recording into my phone, and then I can get it on the air that way. I can email it to myself and save it to my drive and to the cloud or
Oh, okay.
whatever and do it that way and get it on
It
the
might
air.
just take longer, huh?
It
Just take
does.
a
It
little
takes
longer.
it takes a little. It's a few more steps. But I had a listener this morning that I asked them. I was like, "Tell me what it sounds like," and they were like, "It sounds good that you're saying you're in a different studio this morning because it does sound different."
Yeah,
Because I said I'm
yeah.
in my home studio. My home studio consists of me sitting on my couch talking into my phone.
Well, I'm surprised honestly. Your phone sounds this good because anytime I talk on the phone, it always sounds like I could barely understand what anybody says. So
These
sounds great.
Samsung These Samsung Galaxy phones have always been pretty good for me. This is like the third one I've owned. Fourth one, third, fourth.
Yeah. Oh, hey, before you go, I do have a story I picked out because I thought you were gonna. I didn't know if you were gonna be here or not, so I'll just share this with you and see what you think. Uh, Rob Liefeld is returning to Marvel Comics,
Ooh.
and he's doing a book called Deadpool Batter Blood. As you know, of course, Rob Liefeld is uh, instrumental in the character of Deadpool. I think he created Deadpool, but then it was kind of popularized by some other
He
people.
he
But
created Deadpool. Deadpool was in New Mutants. What was it? 98, 99?
I think
No,
I think so. I know I sent
no.
you like a gold copy of it or something like that, or
I've
87. Was
got
it
New
87?
Mutants six. I got New Mutants 87. That's first appearance of Cable.
Oh,
Maybe it
okay,
was
okay,
around there. Anyway, when Rob created Deadpool, he wasn't the Deadpool that we know and love today. The wisecracking Deadpool.
right.
That Deadpool was created by I can't think
Fabian.
of that. No, it wasn't Fabian. I can't remember the writer's name now. It was like the third guy to take over Deadpool, and I cannot remember his name now off the top of my head. Fabian
Well, the
Nacese,
basic.
and Fabian Nacese was the one that kind of took over X Force, that helped
Right.
him with X Force, write X Force. And to be honest, I liked Fabian's stories better than Rob's. Rob, I just I've always been a Fabian fan, man. He was at one of
Right.
the comic cons not too far away several years ago, I think in Lexington, that I really wanted to go see him because he's one of my favorite writers. Him and Brian Michael Bendis.
So Rob's always been kind of like an idea guy. Like he would come up with these outlandish ideas, and I would, I know that you've actually interacted with Rob on Twitter before, or he's
A couple of times
commented back to you.
yeah, a couple of times he's commented back to me and stuff. I like
So
Rob. I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think Rob is an idea man, and maybe that's why I like him so much, and I feel akin to him because that's how I feel like I am. I'm an idea man. It's hard for me to execute things, but I can come up with the idea. And when it seems like Rob's got some great ideas, but when he follows through and executes them, they don't end up being 100%. It's like you should have gave this to somebody else. What was the story that he did not too long ago about Cable and Storm's son?
oh, is that wasn't Mutant X? What was that? That was something. It was a new character, right?
Yeah, and I can't remember the name of it now. And it had
And
such a great idea, and the first couple of issues were just outstanding. And you're like, oh man, I can't
right,
wait to know more. And then it just kind of peters out, and you're like, really? That's the end? It left you wanting more. And honestly, I'm being for real when I say this. Honestly, that's what when you start reading X Force from the '90s, you go through a part where you're just
major.
kind of like, ugh, you just kind of bored there for a little bit, and then
Right.
Fabian they pick it up. So I don't know.
Well, back in that 90s when he was doing when Rob was doing X Force, he had these like time travel plots, and he had these kind of like he had these plots that like were interesting, but for me, because he was doing pencils, I don't know if he was doing inks or not, but I just don't. I find his art style to be really flat and like it's dynamic, but it's like a little like
It was
sloppy and
it was
lazy.
always you could always tell what his scenes were going to be. You could tell
Yeah,
what the splash page was going to look very
right.
similar to every other splash page. I love his art. I agree with what everybody says. It's simple. It's not. I mean, it's not simple, but it's not as like you said. I think that's how a good way to put it. It's not as dynamic as like Jim Lee.
Well,
You
like
know,
he'll he'll have like a pretty interesting composition or whatever, but on the edges it gets like really loose because he's done all that stuff that he's interested in, and then he gets to the end and he's like he doesn't he doesn't really like
Yeah,
put
yeah,
as much effort around the edges of it or whatever. And
yeah. I agree.
and I'm not trying to be critical of Rob's art or anything like that, but I never found it to be. And some people, and when I say some people, lots of people found Rob's style to be so compelling, and they were like after it. And he sold some of the most issues of of comics like ever.
Rob, you're exactly right. Rob Liefeld has sold some of the most popular comic issues in the history of comics, and 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 Rob Liefeld is responsible, in my opinion, for the boost of comics in the 90s because he was a young comic
Yeah,
book artist that had a
I would
little bit
agree.
of charisma, and he did that damn Levi's commercial that was on everywhere. And if the kids and the people don't know, they never don't know what we're talking
Oh
about with the
yeah,
Levi's commercial, it was a damn blue jeans commercial that was like, here's young 19, 21-year-old Rob Liefeld, and he's a comic book drawer artist, and look at this new X-Force that's just came out, and blah blah blah. And I mean, that commercial did it for people that didn't even freaking know about comic books. That X Force comic book and those X-Men comic books that read as relaunch. Those were some of the
yeah.
biggest selling comic books in the all time. I owned
Oh
15
yeah.
copies
Hey, I think
of
I think
number
you I
one.
think you I think you just informed Mr. E. Like I don't think Mr. E knew that he was in a Levi commercial.
Look it up on YouTube. Yeah,
Yeah,
look.
I'll play it. I'll play it.
He is young. I mean, you can look at it and he's young. Yeah, if you can find it, play it. I hadn't seen it in a
Oh,
long, long time. But that Levi's commercial was everywhere. It ran every commercial set, it seemed like.
uh,
But to me, to be honest, that Levi's commercial pushed it to people that wouldn't have went to the comic book shops and bought comic books, because back then you could go into like Walmart, or I could go into my IGA, the grocery store, and they had a little comic rack that I could buy the comic books, because the
yeah.
comic books in the stores had the
Oh,
UPC
he knew.
symbol. Yeah, the ones in the stores had the UPC symbol on them. Okay. The
Yeah.
ones that you bought at the comic book shops did not have the UPC symbol on them.
Right.
So
Right.
I had all the different ones of X Force number one. There were 5 different copies of number one because they all had 5 different cards. But that year they had this 50th anniversary of Captain America logo on the back, and on some of the one they had a whole batch that was that logo was reversed colors. So you had all these number ones with reversed Captain America colors. You had all these number ones, 5 number ones with regular Captain American colors, and you had 5 number ones with UPC symbols.
Right.
And I thought I was the grandest comic book collector of all time because I had 15 copies of X Force number one.
Right. You did. You definitely did something great. You helped boost the comic book bubble there for a
And,
minute.
and they all got burned up in a house fire.
Oh yes, I forgot about that. I forgot about. Okay, so here's the so Mr. E did know about the Levi's commercial, but I'm gonna play it anyway. Here.
So how long have you been drawing comic books?
Since I was about 7 years old, little kid.
Would your parents
Look at him. He's
They
a
hate
baby.
They hate Oh, yeah. After I got a job and they saw that you can make a living out of it, you'll hear no complaints anymore.
And you created X-Force?
So what is the drawing of?
This is the Spike Man.
And what's this right here?
This is the camera on top of your head that will record the wrongdoings of others.
So Rob, have you had any formal art training?
No, just a lot of imagination, I think. Wait so I say it and then look down, or just open it and say it.
Fly button?
Is your fly button? That's right. Is your fly button? What a terrible concept for pants. I had a pair of those button fly jeans and they sucked.
Man, especially when you had to pee instead
You
of just
gotta
going
piss.
in like, oh my god, I gotta go pee. Get in
Now,
there instead of it's like, oh, I can't get the thing on the button.
yeah. And now that I'm older and diabetic, I have what I like to call diabetic bladder. When my bladder goes, hey man, you need to pee. I start a countdown at 3. You know, most of the time it's, hey man, you're going to pee. 3, 2, 1, go. So if my diabetic bladder does not
Oh
fine,
my lord.
I'm like really doing a pee pee dance. Hey, I hadn't told you one thing that I didn't tell you yesterday on the show. One thing that I got yesterday, we opened presents a little early. And
Yeah.
I just saw it sitting on the shelf. I got this Uno Marvel, this Uno Ultimate Marvel. Have you seen this?
No, I haven't.
It's in a huge box. It comes with different cards. Some of the cards they're collectible, so you could actually buy different cards. But I thought it was going to be an Uno game. I think that's what it is, but I don't understand it yet. It's like a trading card game mixed with Uno.
So okay, so I got it. I got this. Hold on, let me, because I've never heard of this. I just bought Uno because my wife uh, insists that she likes to play games, but
Oh, we've got a big like
in
3 deck Uno deck that when we play Uno, it lasts forever. And Maggie cheats, and it starts.
my wife insists that she likes to play games, but then she doesn't like to play games that are like, she calls them my brother's kind of games, or my brother and me kind of games, which is like she doesn't like Magic or games with stories or complex mechanics. She just likes she basically likes tabletop party games where everybody's around in a circle and they're playing like Rumicube
Me
or
and Jeremy can go in the corner and play Magic.
so for my wife, I picked up Uno the other day because she likes Russian rummy. And oh, you know what? I got something to show you guys too. But anyway, so I picked up regular Uno, but this is Uno. This is Uno Ultimate Marvel. So this is what you got, this thing,
That's it right there.
and it looks like it has like character cards or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but you haven't
It's a
played it yet.
deck.
Okay, so this looks familiar. This is like Uno. Oh, this is regular Uno with just fancy pictures, but it looks like there's some extra stuff going on here too.
Yeah, there's extra stuff that goes on, and there's extra. I was reading the cards, and there's extra commands on the cards that I don't know what they do. I'm going to have to read the instruction booklet, but it looks really freaking interesting. And when I was looking at it in the store, it looks like you go to the Walmart back in the toy section. That's where I saw it. It looks as if there are booster packs that you can get for these as well.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay, that's so strange. Hang on just a second.
Yeah, that's right. So since JJ's gone, I'll bring this up. I'm sitting here. I've got the news on, and with all of this Arctic blast for the next 2 days, if you are on Reddit, if you're on TikTok, if you're on YouTube, you're going to see an inundation of videos of people throwing hot water, boiling water into the air and letting it steam up and whatnot. That's what they're showing on TV right now. These accidents and people throwing water up.
I saw
freezing.
a video a few days ago of like a guy trying to thaw out his frozen windshield with hot
with
water. Just
I saw
shattered
that
his
too.
window. Okay, so my wife's birthday was about 3 weeks ago, December 5th, and we went over, and let's see, is this this is not, yeah, it is. So we went over to our friend's house, and I took a deck of cards, because she likes to play rummy and Russian rummy or whatever. She likes to play card games like this. And so I'm like, I just grabbed a deck of cards, and I was like, we'll just play cards or whatever. And she was down for it. She was excited. And we get there, and I think like oh, this is like a normal deck of cards, right? I mean, let's see. You guys can see it looks like a normal deck of cards, normal deck backs or whatever. And I get there and I start like going through the deck just to make sure that there's two jokers or not two jokers or whatever. And I'm like, oh, there's a 5 and there's a king or whatever. And then I start getting through here and I can't explain this. And I'm like, oh, there's a 9 of hearts and there's a 9 of hearts and there's a 9 of hearts and a 9 and a 9 and a 9 and a 9 and this whole
It's a
half
magic
of
deck.
this deck. Half of this deck is a 9 of hearts. And
It's a magic
I have no
deck.
idea. I don't know how you.
That's a magic deck. That's a
Why
trick
would I
deck.
have that? Why
It's
would
a
I
trick
have that?
deck. The magician will only pull out that deck to do a trick. Pick a card, any card they pick. A 95% chance that you're pulling the 9 of hearts. You see the card, put it back in the deck anywhere, flip it around, shuffle it a million times. Is this your card? I got it. Or look, I'm going to throw the deck away and look. You can do so many tricks with that deck. That's pretty awesome.
I have no idea why I would have a magic deck of cards.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. That's a trick deck. That's a magic deck.
Well, it tricked me because I thought we were going to play cards, and it's
Now, does
and
your wife know about that trick deck?
well, we do now, and
I was going
and
to say
since you
you
mention
can
it,
use it and play the trick on somebody.
if you can see right there,
Hmm.
these are the shallow cards are those 9s that you're talking
Yeah,
about, and then
yeah, that's a trick
these
deck.
are regular cards.
He can
So
feel while he's sitting there shuffling. He knows which one's the 9, and he can shimmy it
I,
out. I used to try to walk around with when I smoked, and I always had a lighter in my pocket. I would always try to walk around palming my lighter in my hand and trying to do things with my hand while I was palming the lighter, trying not to drop the lighter. And I got pretty good at it to where I could hold this lighter in my hand with my thumb muscle here and still manipulate my fingers to do things while I was holding and hiding this lighter in my hand the whole time. I could never really do a quarter that well like they do, but because the
I,
quarter would
I
always fall out of my hand.
I like that trick wherever the quarter rolls over your knuckles or whatever, but
Oh, I can't do
I,
that shit.
I don't have that. I don't have that much dexterity.
No, I would always try to hide stuff in my hands and manipulate it and walk around, see if people would notice that I'm holding something in my hand, or see how natural I can make my hand look hiding something in it.
Would it have been funny if you were walking around thinking you were hiding stuff and everybody else was walking around you thinking like, why is he doing that
Why
with
is
a
he
lighter
hiding
in his
that?
hand? what
What a
does he
weird
think
little
he's
kid.
doing? Yeah. Okay. So Ultimate Marvel. Let me know how that goes because I saw this. This is a normal one, and then I saw a couple of other ones, but I didn't see any Marvel type one at the store. Let me know how that if there's like some twist to it or something like that. Let's see. Since the show's kind of weather themed, over on Revolver, there's this thing that says bomb cyclone hits, literally 60 seconds for temperature drop, and 20-foot waves were on simultaneously on Lake Superior, Michigan, Erie, and Ontario. And there may be flooding up and down the East Coast. So those are all the Great Lakes, right? Lake Superior, Michigan, Erie, and Ontario. Is that the Great Lakes? 20-foot waves. That is unbelievable. Look at this, dude. Minneapolis, negative 58 degrees. Can you even imagine? O'Hare Airport. How are you supposed to say it? It's like a mouse, right? They named the place after that mouse.
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
No, let me tell you why I know this, because I have been to Minneapolis, and I used to say it Minneapolis. Minneapolis, like you said it there. So I think you might have done it on accident,
Oh,
but I used to say it like that all the time, Minneapolis. And as we
yeah.
were standing on an elevator in Minneapolis, in the Marriott Hotel or wherever, we were in there with a guy, and I said something about Minneapolis, and he turns and looks at me and goes, "It's Minneapolis." So that's the only thing he said to me. And so that is now a running joke between me and Ashley. Every once in a while we'll look at each other and go, for some reason, it's Minneapolis,
Minneapolis.
so anytime I get the chance to say it's Minneapolis, that's my own little personal joke.
It's Minneapolis. Well, listen,
I was
if that's the only thing you say to
corrected.
visitors when they come, if that's the only thing you say to visitors when they come to town, don't be surprised if visitors don't come to town.
No shit. That's why us people from the South say damn Yankees.
Right. Minnie an asshole.
Assholes.
All right.
Yeah, those are the same assholes that wouldn't let me get on the damn plane, or wouldn't throw away my apple cider vinegar that I accidentally put my apple cider vinegar in my carry-on bag because I got heartburn real bad while I was there. So we went to Target and I got some apple cider vinegar, and the only bottle they had is the freaking huge bottle of it. But apple cider vinegar cures my freaking heartburn immediately. And so I got it, and it was killing me, and I got it, and it worked. And I was a dumbass and not thinking, and I put it in my carry-on bag. And I was, of course, flagged and pulled aside and all this shit. And the guy goes, after like 4 agents come up, he was like, I told him, I was like, it's for my heartburn. You can just throw it away. And they wouldn't throw it away. They would not throw it away. I had to do something with it. And I said, can I throw it away? They were like, we don't care. What the hell?
Put it back in my bag and get on the plane.
He says it's for heartburn. And I was like, what do you think I'm doing? Cleaning the hotel room with this shit? What the hell? Throw it away. And we missed our plane. We missed our plane because of it. I was running through the airport in Minneapolis with holding my shoes in my belt.
You should have just made them feel bad and be like, well, I got medical condition. I'm very diabetic, medical condition. You're going to take this away. This is part of my treatment.
Should have probably thrown that guilt card.
And also, you need to go get a go-kart and get me down in my plane.
Yeah. So we had to stay, and our luggage was already on the plane going to St. Louis. So all I had was a carry-on, and Ashley didn't have anything. So we had to go to the Mall of America, and in the entire Mall of America, there's not one store that you can buy deodorant. I know this for a fact.
Well, you are very lucky that Sam Brenton is already locked up then, sir.
He would have stole Ashley's luggage.
Yeah, he can't be having your luggage lay around waiting for you to show up.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
Long story.
I was telling you about Deadpool. Rob Liefeld's going back to do a Deadpool sequel or Deadpool book, 5 issues. And one of the things he said is that Deadpool doesn't really have his own rogues gallery of villains. There's not Deadpool's villains. He just kind of like fights everybody else's, right? So Rob Liefeld is dedicating his creative energies to developing a Deadpool villain named Thumper. And like a handful of other ones, but Thumper is supposed to be the big bad villain in this thing. And this is the thing that Liefeld will do. He'll come in and he'll have these big ideas, and he'll draw them out or whatever. And I think he's getting other people to draw these issues of this book. So I don't really know. But then what Marvel does is as soon as Liefeld kind of comes out with this like idea, just like Major X, right? He had Major X, big launch. First issue was Major. And then Marvel was like, okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the entire X-Men franchise and throw it in the toilet and then hand it over to somebody else. And we're just going to scrap everything you've done. So, so you can look forward to Marvel sidelining another major Rob Liefeld project. So, do you remember? Do you remember when we were in New York and they had the Major X issues in the? Where did we go? Midtown Comics. I
Yeah.
think we went to Midtown Comics.
Yeah, that's where I learned about Major X, I think.
Oh
And
yeah,
I come home and read them all. And that's what I was talking about, that Major X,
yeah,
Deadpool's,
yeah.
or not Deadpool, Cable and
Well,
Storm's son.
that was right when they decided, like he had like 2 or 3 issues of that out, and then Marvel was like, we're going to hand over the entire X-Men section of our business over to Jonathan Hickman. And then Hickman was like, okay, let me tell you tell me what you think about plants.
Yeah,
About all the X-Men living on.
that's a good point. Maybe I need to take that into consideration when I was like judging him a minute ago on that.
Yeah.
They did kind of, maybe he did have his hands kind of,
He
his
got
reins kind of
the
clipped a
rug
little
pulled out
bit.
from under him. He
Yeah,
was setting up to have like a big story, and Marvel was like,
yeah,
we want to do flower portals.
yeah. That's true.
So,
We can do flower portals.
so,
That's pretty funny.
so anyway, I thought if you want to see Rob do like classic characters, I mean, honestly, Rob's still in business. He does stuff. I don't know what he does. Oh, let
Oh,
me
I
give you
keep
some
up with him.
names.
He's got a podcast going. I keep up with
Yeah,
him.
yeah. Robservations. Let me throw some. Let me throw this at you. Additionally, fans will be introduced to brand new Liefeld created characters. Okay. Now I'm gonna throw these names at you, and let me tell you
Okay.
on a scale of 1 to 10 how Rob Liefeld are these names,
Yeah, they're pretty
including
bad.
Killville
Yep.
and uh, Arcata. That's Arcata. Okay, Arcata, and the
Okay. Yeah.
mysterious warrior Shatterstorm.
Yes,
Shatters.
every one of those are perfect Rob Liefeld names. As a matter of fact,
Uh oh. We got a little interference here, Deke. Yeah, we got some audio chop. I think your Wi-Fi is a little dorky.
yeah.
Hang on a second. Deke's got a little Wi-Fi problem for a second there. Hey, Mr. E, did you know that Rob Liefeld, who left Marvel in the '90s and established Youngblood and Brigade and quite a few new properties over at Image. Did you know that in the early kind of mid 2000s, he ended up selling, he had to sell off or chose to sell off a portion of the rights to his characters to this other other company. I guess he had some financial issues or something like that. So he sold off Youngblood and the Youngblood characters and a few others. He still has profit. Uh, yeah, he created Supreme. Yeah, so Rob Liefeld went to Image and he just like made new title after new title after new title after new title, new characters after new characters after new characters after new characters, and he was getting kind of hosed on this. And the reason is the way the arrangement worked for the Image guys was you could go to Image, you could publish your book under the Image banner. You basically took care of everything yourself, and then for every book that you had, you paid like $1,500 to Image. Yeah, Deacon's dropped out for a minute. So you'd pay $1,500 to Image, and then you could run it under the Image brand. You could distribute it under the Image distribution or whatever, and so Todd McFarlane, right, produced Spawn. He paid $1,500 a month, and then he'd sell like, I don't know, 1 million issues of Spawn. Well, Rob Liefeld was like, okay, we're gonna do Youngblood, and we're gonna do like Brigade and Supreme and like Youngblood Alpha, and I don't know what. So Rob would be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 issues, 5 different issues a month of different books, and was having to pay like $10,000 to Image, where all the other founders were like paying like, just for one book. Jim Lee was doing Wildcats, and here's the Wildcats book. So Rob Rob kind of got himself into a situation where he had all of these titles, but he was having to outflow all of this cash to keep to pay into the company. So he was paying way more in than they were. And he'd have like a major one or two issues, and then I don't know how some people hang in there, some people would not hang in there. Well, in the early 2000s, he ended up selling, I think because of this, or maybe for some other reasons, he ended up selling off the rights to Youngblood and about half of his characters. I don't know about Supreme, and maybe Supreme, to a business partner. And then the business partner eventually sold the rights to someone else. So Rob Liefeld does not own the rights to Youngblood and several of the characters. I don't think he owns the rights to Supreme. I don't know. And the guy that does own the rights to Youngblood is this total like lunatic. And I've seen him on YouTube, not on YouTube. I've seen him on Twitter about a year or two ago. He was trying to spin the rights to the Youngblood property. He was trying to spin that into a new comic book company, a Youngblood intellectual property, completely and utterly not associated with Rob Liefeld. But he was using Rob Liefeld art. He was trying to recruit artists. He wasn't paying them, and it was just running. It was running this IP like into the ground. Let's see if Deacon's back here. Hey, Deke, you back yet?
Yeah, can you not hear me?
No, I can hear you, but you weren't.
Oh,
You weren't joined to the
oh, my bad. Yeah, I was kind of responding to you there. Yeah, you're right. The that guy was a douchebag that had the Youngblood property, and yeah, he ran it into the ground. And that's what I was going to say. Youngblood is a prime example of Rob's ability to create characters, in my opinion, because Youngblood is chock full of really great potential superstar characters. If you look at, I mean, and then you got some that are just kind of mediocre, like the leader of the one team was Shaft. I think his name was Shaft. He was the freaking Hawkeye guy.
He was, yeah. He was the guy with the arrow, yeah.
But then you had guys like Chapel, and Chapel had the one-off, and he was a pretty awesome little anti-hero. And one of my favorite characters in Youngblood was he was just a side member that I thought was super freaking powerful. Like, I was like, holy shit, this character, Sapphire, P-S-I Fire, Sapphire. And Sapphire was so freaking powerful. He was like a telepathic or a telekinetic at one of the two. And I think he might have been telepathic, telekinetic, and pyrokinetic. I couldn't remember. He made Saddam Hussein's brain explode inside his head.
Oh, my gosh.
I was like, in that very first episode, the very first issue, that was what he did. They went over to take care of Saddam Hussein, and Sapphire just made his brain explode. But they never really done that much. Like, he wasn't the main focus. And I always thought that Sapphire character was just a great example of a Rob Liefeld character that could have just had some major freaking potential. Who would have thought? Deadpool took somebody completely different to make the character what he is, So that's what I mean. Rob, you put it perfectly. Rob can create, Rob's great at starting, but it peters out on
him. He comes up with all of these wild ideas, and some of them stick. Some of them are good, but he really needs a partner to take the
needs somebody else to take the reins,
make it a real product.
I think flesh it out.
I think that this, so in this image I have here on the lower left corner, I can't remember his name exactly, but I think this guy's name is Brigade, or maybe there was a book.
Yeah, that's Brigade.
Yeah, and then there was an entire book at Image called Stormwatch, and that was a pretty good book. And it was basically this superhero team, and they were I think they were trying to navigate environmental disasters or something like that, or
And see, there's Chapel in that one issue, and Die Hard. The Die Hard was that android guy.
That is the black and white one there.
The blue and white and red guy. Yeah. and then it looks like is that Prophet up there in Chapel,
Yeah, that's
and then
Prophet
and
up
then
top.
and then there was Bedrock, aka Bad Rock. In the first
Right.
couple of issues, his name was Bedrock, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. I don't know. I've never looked it up, but I'm pretty sure Rob was told by Hanna-Barbera or whoever owns that property to that name
Right.
Bedrock for the
Yeah.
Flintstones that he couldn't have a comic book character called Bedrock anymore. And they just
Yeah.
silently changed his name, that E to an A.
So we did find something that Mr. E didn't know. So he knew about the Levi's commercial, but didn't know about that Rob had to sell off uh, rights to Youngblood, and I think he had
Yeah.
to thank some other ones too. Basically any of these characters or books that you haven't seen in 20 years, and that's why. Now Rob did do a Prophet. He recently did a Prophet remastered, so he has the rights to Prophet. Um, I can't remember. Oh, Andrew Rev. Andrew Rev is the guy that owns the Youngblood rights. And this guy on Twitter is a douchebag, lying to people and not paying them in or whatever, paying them back.
Yeah, that's what I understand, that he doesn't pay what he's supposed to, and like these people have funded him and he hasn't produced anything and won't pay them back. And
Well, yeah, I
and
mean, he was
hasn't he
trying to
hasn't
kick.
started to say, hasn't he pulled some stuff about Rob into it too?
Well, he tried to insinuate that Rob would participate, and then
Oh, that's
and
right.
then
That's what it
and then
was.
Rob
He
was
was
like, I am not involved with you at all, dude."
That's what it was. He was insinuating that Rob was going to participate with and get these people to give him money, and then Rob was not participating and living up to his part of the bargain, and wasn't like, these people were like, "Why don't you do this?" And he was kind of ignoring them because Rob don't interact with people that fuss with him. He just blocks you. And
So,
and
oh,
yeah, and people were fussing at Rob there for a long time about it. Rob was like, Rob had to put out a statement. It was like, "I don't have anything to do with this asshole. Y'all might not know this, but I don't own this shit anymore."
but how crushing must it be for you to not only kind of like want to be a major comic book artist and then do that and become like one of the biggest names in comics ever, and then to not create a character that is like maybe iconic even, but you create like a bunch of characters, a bunch of titles that are iconic and how real milestones in the culture, and then to lose it, like, and to the point where you can't even really publicly talk about how awesome it is or was or whatever, because like anything that you say is just going to prop up somebody else's ownership of your property, you know.
Yeah.
So I always wonder about Rob's relationship with Marvel because he created not only Deadpool and Cable and a bunch of characters, Domino, I think, a bunch of characters over there. But Marvel owns those characters. So anytime he's doing, and you see him doing stuff on Twitter all the time, propping up, like talking about Deadpool and Cable and stuff. And he must have whatever his relationship is with Marvel. It must not be totally strained, and he's going back to do that book now. And so he's done this a couple times before. So he must have some sort of a deal with Marvel where maybe he has like royalties on the character or something like that.
I don't know.
But he's got a better deal with them than he does with whatever he did with Andrew Rev. Anyway, maybe I can't find it right now, and I can't find there is a crazy Twitter account that Andrew Rev runs that is this comic book company where he tried to basically generate Youngblood hype and it went nowhere. So I can't find it right now. If I can find it later, I'll follow it and maybe we'll talk about it again because it's a kind of a crazy story. Anyway, let's see. What else, Mr. C? Alan Moore wrote some of the Supreme comics. That's true. Alan Moore did like a pretty infamous issue of Spawn. And then he also did, Alan Moore did I don't know if it was under the Image name or not, but there was these Tom Strong books, and those were pretty fun. Tom Strong was this kind of like adventuring father figure type character, and then he had it was like kind of, it was a whole Fantastic Four kind of feel where it was Tom Strong and his wife and their kids, and they would kind of like do adventures and stuff. And that was back when I think Alan Moore didn't hate comics, because I'm pretty sure Alan Moore hates comics now, but he kind of hates everything. Yeah, he keeps doing covers for Marvel. Oh, I bet he gets Deadpool dollars for Deadpool movies for sure, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, Deacon, it's 7:30. You hang in there for the whole show.
Yeah. All right. That's
So-
sweet.
All right. So stay warm or get warm. I don't know, but stay safe. -5 sounds like it sucks to me. I'm not prepared for that kind of thing. It's like 15 degrees here. And then the sun's
Let me see
coming
if
up.
I can. The sun has come up all the way now. Let me see if I can go over here to the window and show you.
Oh, yay. As soon as the kids get up, you guys go out and make snowballs and snowmen, right?
Yeah, Alex wants to slide down the hill.
Yeah.
So,
Do you got sleds? Do you got sleds? Or do you have
no,
garbage
he's
can?
got a big piece of plastic. Look, there's one of
Yeah. All right.
the outside cat that's hanging out.
All right, guys. Well, it is Christmas Eve. Tomorrow's Christmas Eve, and then it's Christmas. And I'll be back on Monday. I don't know about Tuesday because we're going to be traveling on Tuesday.
I should be back.
So I don't know what the deal, but we'll figure it out. And so hang in there. If you haven't already, like, subscribe. Thanks for watching the show. And we'll be back next week talking about news. I'm sure there's nothing crazy that's going to happen. We didn't even get to complain about the $1.7 trillion spending bill or anything else. So, but I think we had a good time. After Snowpocalypse in 2021, Jeremy says it takes a flamethrower to the snow if you had enough of snow. Yeah. Last year, Deke, my brother, his pipes froze in his place, and they had to like go in, and they had leaking water, and they had to replace pipes, and then installation and all that. It was a nightmare.
Who was that?
My brother.
Oh,
So last
they're-
year's freeze.
they're in
Broke pipes.
Texas. Y'all don't have freeze
Yeah.
very often, though, do you?
Not like that, and they're
Oh,
farther
see, that's
north than us. They're a couple hundred miles north of us, but it don't really get. Usually, there's like a couple of days of cold or whatever, but like
we
last
get
year was
freeze.
real bad.
We get a freeze like that normally every year. That's what I when I left the radio station yesterday, I made sure that both of the faucets in the bathroom and the kitchen, I turned them both onto a drip. I told Ashley it's going to drip for 3 days. I was like, but that's okay. I'll pay an extra $10 water bill at the radio station because I don't want frozen pipes. You don't want a pipe to burst, man. And I made Kendra downstairs. I was like, turn on your bathroom, make sure the water is dripping, because those pipes are like 70 years old, and I do not want them busted. Actually, I probably do want them busted. Maybe busted.
Yeah, insurance claim. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for showing up. It's a nice, brisk, chilly Christmas morning. I hope that this weekend all of your Christmas dreams come true, that you get to watch your children open presents and to just see the sparkle of joy and surprise, and then the realization
all
that
of
they
my
didn't
kids
get
have already
what they
opened
want.
their gifts.
Already?
Yeah.
Cheaters. I wonder if I could talk my wife into that. Hey, if we open them now, they can play for more days.
Yeah, that's what. Because we have other houses that we have to go to and stuff on Christmas.
Yeah.
So we let them open their gifts early, so they'd have a couple of days, some days to be able to enjoy their gift without opening it and then having to go. You know,
Well, this is the first year that we are staying home just for our family.
that's what you
Normally,
said. Yeah.
for 17 years, it's been we leave, we go somewhere. We're at different people's houses for Christmas. But a couple of years ago, my wife was recovering from surgery. We kind of stayed home for that, but it's not the same. But this year, we intentionally and deliberately are doing Christmas at our home with our kids and our family, and then we will go see everybody else. So we're excited to just kind of like, make these new memories. And I mean, there's surprises up there the kids are going to like. It's going to be great. And then they're going to fight over things. Yes, they're going to like, and then there's going to be realization that something they asked for didn't come, and that's going to happen. So just looking
All
forward
right,
to all.
dude. Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Deacon. Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye. I can't push the button.